Yes. Okay. Welcome, everyone. This is Jagadish. I'm founder of SITA.dev. SITA.dev is a company that helps international talent get tech jobs in Sweden. We have several career paths on data analytics, full stack development, front end development, etc. So, but that's completely different aspect. We also run the community, international talent community, where we conduct a lot of workshops, webinars, seminars all around helping international talent navigate through the Swedish job market. Most of the sessions are based on how to get a job in Sweden, but there are also some sessions based on the visa aspects, legal aspects, health and well-being aspects. But everything revolves around the international talent. This is also one such session. If you want to learn more about SITA.dev, I will share the links in the chat of the website, of the LinkedIn and everything. You can go there, but we don't spend much time about that. So I will directly jump into today's subject matter, open doors for international talent. I will give quick background about Vivek and about how we planned this session. After that, I'll hand over to Vivek. So I first contacted Vivek some time back in on LinkedIn because I don't exactly remember where I saw, but I saw his background, etc. and all in. I saw his profile. He has a very interesting profile, starting from student to working with really with very good government agencies and also involvement into politics. And then I invited him to our New Year party in Stockholm, and he came there as a guest, and then he shared some insights, which is also similar to this open doors for international talent, and I really loved the insights. Since then I have been thinking of having one. At the time we didn't have much time to give Vivek enough time to fully share his insights, so the time was very limited. Then but that was the starting point for me to, okay, we must have a very longer session so that we can share the insights fully. We have been planning, and then this is the time. I will let Vivek introduce himself in more details, and whoever came here, I would say maybe take notes and feel free to ask questions, because what I believe is more than the contents that shared, it's the wisdom and experience that people have provides great value. So don't hesitate to ask the questions at the end. With that, I will hand over to Vivek. Vivek, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Jagdish. Before I start, I just want to check if everybody hears me properly, so you can give me a thumbs up in the chat, so that I know. All right, perfect. So, well, I'm very thankful to get this opportunity, to be honest, because it is something. It's a cause that I actually bear with me very closely, because I know, and I know what it means to like get into the job market, and the challenges. I mean, most importantly, the guidance. I mean, it's not actually, unfortunately, it's not that easy to get. So when Jagdish proposed that to me, and as Jagdish is involved very much in this process of helping people, guiding them in their journeys, I really liked it a lot. So I said, okay, I will do this, and that is the reason I really feel privileged to be able to share this. So I will start by, I have a PowerPoint that I will share with you guys. And if you have any questions, as I know that there are many that are here, so you can just write in the chat, and I believe Jagdish will monitor that. And
Yes.
if there is any questions, he can just let me know, and then I will answer them accordingly. Let me see. I want to share the screen. So guys, I have two screens. So if I'm looking away, so you know why. All right. So first of all, I just want to, this is, as I said, it's open doors for international talent. And there is a very good reason why I call it open doors, because there are certain doors that are closed for the moment that needs to be open, and that is why I call it to open doors for the international talent. So first of all, my background, a little shortly. I came to Sweden as an international student, studies in political science. Very unusual fact, actually, keeping in mind that I come from India, from Telangana state. So I speak Telugu, Hindi, English, and Swedish. The order of those languages have changed with time. When I first came to, my mother tongue is Telugu, so but when I first came to Sweden, I spoke English was my first language, and Hindi and Telugu followed, and then Swedish was not there for many years, almost 3 years after during my education period. So as I was nearing my graduation, I actually realized that I have missed something very essential. That was the language, because with my background, it was a must that I needed to learn Swedish. And finding myself in that situation, I never thought. I just said, I just know that I have to do something. What I had to do was to get acquainted with the language. And then today I'm gonna say something very important, because I'm not gonna say learning the language. I'm just gonna use the word acquainted today. So keep that in mind. I'm not gonna talk about learning the language. I'm gonna talk about acquainted. Okay. So for me, it was about getting acquainted with the language. But I also felt at that time that, okay, it's already 3 years past, and I really hoped that somebody would told me, given me an advice like, yeah, you should learn the language if you want to get a job or something. And that was really a mistake. So I am one such that I have learned by my mistakes, and so yeah, so the period was tough, basically, and as I was nearing, in Sweden, if you come here on studies or whatever reason it is, you always have in the beginning those times that you have to meet with the deadlines of the immigration and so on. So it was a tough period. So anyway, that was then. And yeah, so that stage passed, but I learned some lessons from that, and I'm actually very glad that I could share them, because I believe that they will be useful for you guys that are in the same boat right now. So yeah, I worked with, as many of you must be familiar, Försäkringskassan. If you have children, yeah, then you have something to do with Försäkringskassan, and if you are unemployed, you have something to do with Arbetsförmedlingen, the unemployment agency of Sweden. And now I'm actually working in Skolverket, which is the educational board of Sweden. So we are responsible for all the high school and primary school education in Sweden, for everything A to Z. But not only that, actually, because of the language, it also opened the doors of politics for me, and there is a very good reason why I went there, because we need representation. So let's come to the next slide. So lessons learned. I will be talking about 5 doors. The first one is language is the key to opening doors. I will explain the prominence, and I give you some insights and some suggestions there. And I also will talk about understand the process to open doors, what it means to be in the process. And then I will talk about have a strategy to keep doors open. So what do you need to do? Like what do you usually think about? And then I will talk about some external factors, such as support systems, like our Arbetsförmedlingen and what do you call it? Arbetsförmedlingen, and the other one is unions, and the other one is A-Kassa and stuff. So I will talk about that. And then I will talk about external factors, that is such as that has an effect on so that's an effect on the job market, such as inflation, war, or whatever. So those kind of aspects I will cover also. So first of all, language is the key. So I will show, as of now, you see there's a chart here. The jobs that are in English, that will require English only, is around 22%. And the Swedish required ones is 77.8%. So then if I click on the link, I'll show you what it's actually in Swedish. Let me see. I can translate that to English. So this was like a small what do you call it? Like a research that they have done. I mean, like a survey, and then they have found that there are so many in Swedish and so many in English. So this is like it's a link. So most probably you can read about it later. So I don't want to scare there, because most of the jobs, I mean, let us say AI, technological advancements, and all that, that is the future, because more and more jobs are changing in their nature and how they function. So that there's a change of attitude, this change of job market, how it looks, how the job market is going to be formed. So this percentage, 77.8%, I could say almost equal to this, 22.2% of these jobs in here are with the tech backgrounds and other backgrounds that actually could also be in English, for example. So, but the scope of those jobs is very different. So I will show you something. So this is the Arbetsförmedlingen website. I'm quite sure, I'm assuming that you guys have been there and checked. So this is in Swedish, all in all. But I want to try something for you guys. So I'm going to go, this is yrke, that means profession. And if I click here, you have data and IT. And if I click here, then you have all the different sections, I mean, different areas of IT jobs. So then I will click here, for example. Then I click on this one. So these are all jobs in data and IT in Sweden for the moment. So I'll use translate to English. So these are the jobs, for example. I don't know if you have come across them somewhere, but you will see a lot of jobs that are actually perhaps only being published in Swedish, but perhaps not in English. So you can have a look at them. So I will leave this here for the moment. Go back to here. So that was one thing that are the jobs that are in a technical branch that are published on our website. And then I will show you something else. I'm going to the immigration's website. Can somebody tell me if they can still see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So this is a website. This is like the board that we have. We just don't want to have much to do with them. So this is the immigration website, for example. And even here, they have jobs for IT. Work with IT. Okay, there's just a bit of background about the jobs that they have, for example. Apply for IT training program, something suitable for someone that is participating today. Have a look and see our vacancies. They have different categories, for example. And then not all the time you need to have the jobs to be announced. You can actually express your interest. If you click on this, and then you will get then they will have something called this one. You can click here and write to them, basically. So they will, yeah. So these are some places that is very unusual for us to look for jobs. So why I'm showing you, there is a very good reason why I'm showing you this immigration's website and also the Arbetsförmedling's website. Because this may most probably you don't look here, but so as of 2024 and 25, there are approximately 340 government agencies in Sweden. As such, the public sector of Sweden is very, very big. I mean, really, really big. I mean, for a small country with 11 million, that's a lot of government agencies. So basically what is ever is decided by the politicians is done by them. The job is done by them. And they are very heavily, they are tax financed. They don't have any other way of financing. It's where there's financed by taxes. And the burden of financing these government agencies has created a very created budget deficit. Therefore, more and more agencies are turning towards automation, use of AI and other technological solutions. So because the thought here is, this is what I'm telling you, that the change of how the job market is going to function is going to change in the coming years. So they want everything, like even immigration, they want to change this so that they can rely more on technology and less on people. But also because the financing will decrease. And when I keep you guys in mind here, you're at the forefront of this technological advancement and change. So I mean, you, the international talent, need to have a I felt that you need to have an idea about this, what's happening. So that was the first slide. I'm going to the next one. So the need for tech. So even in a global age, even in the age of global workspaces, learning Swedish remains the key to opening many doors. The good news is that more companies today are open-minded about hiring internationals who are learning the language. So I use the word learning, I'm sorry, who are getting acquainted with the language. Even if the office uses English, being able to switch to Swedish when needed with customers, clients, or colleagues, it shows commitment. So keep at it, immerse yourself in Swedish through daily practice, chats with local or language classes. It might feel slow at first, but every new word or phrase you learn is essential, a key that you can unlock a new opportunity. Unlock a new opportunity. So, for example, as I said here, so the technical expertise is enormous. You don't need 100% fluency in Swedish. The answer is no. If you meet 50 to 70% of the language part, you're well on the way. And the other thing is that as technical expertise is so hard, it's hardly found. The employer actually is willing to compromise on the language requirement as long as you're in mentioning for them that, yeah, I'm in the process of learning the language. Even basic Swedish can get you a job if you have this kind of, if you're applying for a technical job. So, and as a matter of fact, when my first public sector job, which was very difficult, I would say, because of the language, I only met the language requirement up to 50%. But actually, that is how far we get. Even though if you go to a language school or whatever, you cannot have 100% language skills when you get into the job with another. I mean, working in another language. So you improve at work, And I don't know if how much you're following what's happening in Sweden. There's a lot of problems with segregation, isolation, unemployment. They're all actually linked to language, and there is research about that. And for me, what I want to try to come to is like staying committed to getting acquainted with the language has continued to open the doors for me. And as I said, the most recent was politics. The most recent one was politics. So let's go to the next slide. All right. So when I talk about getting acquainted with the language, there are certain things that you need to why. It's really important. And we as I said, we're not going to focus on learning. We're going to focus on getting acquainted with the language. You just do it. So don't have any insecurity of making mistakes when using the language, because you're going to make a mistake. As a matter of fact, I still make mistakes. So, and the other thing is, keep in mind, Swedish speaking population are very tolerant and patient when it comes to language. So don't be hesitant in using the language. So they will actually help you. They will listen to you. And then, and you can always be corrected if you want. I mean, you can ask them. As I said, if you have a possibility of having someone as a mentor, do ask the person to correct you when you made mistakes. Will be a very good way to keep the language in practice. Though we often seek to people that speak the same language or same culture as a human factor. There's nothing wrong with it. Try to engage with people with other backgrounds that have Swedish as their first language. This will actually, I believe strongly, it will help you in your personal growth. Not only language, you get a lot of benefits out of that. You will understand the culture. I mean, you don't have to be like them. You get more acquainted. It's more like a personal development thing, if you ask me. And we should not have set some goals of learning the language. As I said, that's a goal. I mean, it's a difficult one. I mean, you don't have to see that as a goal. You have to see it like exposing yourself to it daily. The aim, the aim itself is not to master it overnight, because it's impossible. Just to, like, one step at a time, from moving from A to B, you will come, it will help you a lot. I mean, you will get where you want to be without you actually acknowledging. So some suggestions on how to get acquainted with the Swedish language. Because the idea about Swedish language, at the language school, is outdated, how important. Because when I went to the language school, I spent very less time there, to be honest, and that there is many reasons for that. For the first of all, the idea about going to the school was I went there to get the basics, to the grammar and so on, but I was doing a lot more on the side, which made that I was learning faster, and then you and the teaching and the class has to what do you call it, hang with you on that process. If you think that it's going faster for you, the teacher has to identify and say, yeah, you need to go to the next class and so on. So and it also the thing about, like, for example, you're learning the language at school, and then once you leave the school and you have nothing to do with the, like, it's very difficult to progress. I personally feel that, because language is such thing. For example, I speak Hindi and Telugu, but it's been a while I've used them, so I find it challenging sometimes to read or write, for example, and it's very normal. I think you must have heard it before from many people. Yeah, I used to speak that language, but I have lost it now. That's because you don't use it anymore, basically, in the way. So incorporating that to your everyday life will give you more, and you will get acquainted with the language much faster. The reasons for that are vocabulary, first of all. Most importantly, vocabulary is something that you build over time. For example, I speak English, but I don't feel that I have all the vocabulary in English, for example. And it's the same with Swedish, for example, a language that you have learned in for 10 years ago, and that can never be complicated. It will come over time, and it will not be enough just from the school. All right. And then what you learn at the school prepares you for certain situations, and it's not suitable for a job-related circumstance, because what you're learning in school is more like you're reading some novels, you're reading some books, you're reading some, doing some exercises, and that vocabulary itself is very different from the vocabulary you use at work. So the sooner you get familiar with the words that are more connected to your job, it will leave an impression on the recruiter that, oh, this person knows more about the job than, your Swedish. I mean, that itself will leave an impression that you know more about the job, because if you cannot express it, they won't know it, you know. So I mean, I met a lot of people that have actually completed the classes, and I mean finished their gymnasium level, that is the highest level of Swedish that you can learn at a school. That because that basically means you can study in Swedish in the university level. That is still struggle. They still struggle, and you know, having a common conversation. So if you incorporate the suggestions that I'm making now, it will be a lot easier for you. And I mean, uh, personally for me, the more Swedish I have learned has been actually when I started writing personal letters. The unending story of writing personal letters. I personally hate to write personal letters now, thanks to AI. Now I I don't use so much time. I just have to correct them what they have written, and reading job announcements, actually, understanding what that specific word in the announcement means, you know, and interviews. Because for example, these are things that you are actually preparing for a certain thing, and when you prepare for something, then you are more or less capable of to talk about what is it about, or what is it to write about. So, and the job itself, I mean, if you have the knowledge, you can do it. You know, it's not that difficult. And so personal letters and interviews. So the fourth point is, if you're applying for 2 jobs a week, and in that process you're doing this with the personal letters and interviews, actually you are, without your knowledge, you're actually getting acquainted with the Swedish. So keep that in mind. So I don't know, I used to call it a daily dose of Swedish. So yeah, I think you guys are familiar with snooze, you know. Anyway, back in those days, I actually I formulated a term called a daily dose of Swedish. Why I said that is because I found, because I did something daily, without knowing that, having an idea that I have to do it daily. So, but I later realized, after that period has passed, when I was well able, then I was like able to work in Swedish, I understood that these were the things that have helped me from point A to point B. And that was, and then I gave it the term daily dose of Swedish. So the fifth point, which I'm want to think about, things you can incorporate into your daily routine that are in Swedish. For example, the to-do list, shopping list, something that you listen in Swedish, how you don't understand, you know. Perhaps also not listen, but also read something that you perhaps don't understand, just a bit of with some background knowledge, you know, with some basics. I mean, I suggest this one. This one was really good. Actually, I used to 8 pages it's called. I think you guys who are learning Swedish now or going to school must know this one, because I used to order this newspaper. I used to get it home in paper. And this helped me a lot. And I felt after a certain time, after reading this newspaper, said, this is too easy. So I moved on to another free newspaper that was a bit difficult, I would say. So I increased my level in that way. Then children's cartoons. They speak very good Swedish there, very clear, as the children could understand. And then the other was the change of language of your phone to Swedish. That was another thing I did. The other thing is, this is something I do still, because it will help with my vocabulary and pronunciation and so on. When I watch at Swedish television or a movie or a program which has Swedish subtitles, it helps me a lot. So I'm still in that process, you know, getting acquainted with the language. So this is also one more thing I suggest. So what does getting acquainted with the language do for you? It is more than just learning a language for the sake of getting a job, because you begin to exercise your eyes by gaining access to wider information. You can communicate, express opinions, and stay informed. No longer on the sidelines, but part of the conversation. If you are in a Swedish context, I mean, hanging people around are Swedish or whatever. So this will help you. Life transforms. A whole new world will opens up. a world full of opportunities where you begin to enjoy life on a completely different level. You're no longer limited there when there are no limits, possibilities expanding. But now, in other words, I would like to say, if you don't try to get acquainted with Swedish, you're basically limiting yourself. And so be consistent, committing to get acquainted with the language, because it doesn't just give you a career opportunity, but changes your life. For example, let's say an example in regard. You see, for example, you're two technical people applying for the same job, and one can be a bit of Swedish, who is more attractive. Think about that. And think about this also. What is stopping you from becoming directors and being part of the top management? That's the only thing, is the language. So with that, I will conclude. Let me see, is there any questions? All right. Jagdish, are you there?
Yes. I'm here.
Okay. That's why it's so silent.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next slide, which is next door, which opens the door. I was done with door one. So what's happening? Yes. So the next one is understand the process. This also breaking into the job market requires preparation and understanding the hiring process. No matter how experienced or skilled you are, it's not just about your qualifications on paper. It also involves understanding cultural norms, how recruitment works here, and presenting yourself effectively at each step. In Sweden, the job process, search process in 2025 is highly digital, often quite structured, so discipline is essential. So if you are a job seeker, so to get into the process, for example, one must actually get into the bubble of process. What does it mean? So you have to understand that applying for jobs itself, it's a full-time job, to be honest. It's like that's the only thing that you're doing during the days, for a whole week or something. It also means that you have created job alerts. After you receive the jobs to apply for the week, you do apply for the week. You have printed them out, highlighted the keywords, and have inserted them into the application. Think about improvisation. Should be applied to every job you're applying. And the other thing, it is required. It is required to apply for 2 jobs a week to get a result. And nowadays you can apply. You can use AI or other websites to make your application. Like to make a top-notch applications, you can use those resources. And the other thing is like follow up after 2 weeks after the deadline. It's also very important, so that you can what do you call it? So that you show interest. Actually, a lot of employees appreciate that if you do that, if you call them. And then I will make some other suggestions. If you're a job seeker, membership into the union. I will talk a little bit later about the union also, but I will mention certain things here. If you're a job seeker, membership to the union, or a student, membership to the relevant union with your background is usually free. So what happened is but becoming member, the unions involved in a research connected job market, but also raise issues of concern to the politicians. So the unions are very much connected to the politicians. So and the politicians also consult them for referrals, like how does the job market looking, and they sit with a lot of information. So I suggest you also be part of the union if you're in this process of applying for a job. And I would also suggest to get a Swedish CV and write a Swedish application. Do mention that you're in the process of learning and what level you are. So that would also be good. right? I'll go to the next slide. That's also about understanding the process. So get into the problem. The same question again. To get into the process, one must get into the bubble of process. What does it mean? So parallelly, do networking, attend job fairs, participate in activities that align with your professional goals, and find the relevant union. Find the relevant union. Get involved in union related events to gain insights into the job market, because the union is doing a lot of things like this. And if you are doing this, you will surely be identified by applicant tracking system, ATS. And I also, as I mentioned before, make a Swedish CV and application. So the goal here is that to secure an interview. If you're being invited to interviews, you're getting a lot of interviews, so it means that you're already close to opening the door to a new job opportunity. So the goal is to get to an interview. And the other thing, for me, this also means the process. Go for 30 minutes walk daily and keep that creativity running, you know. This is like being in the bubble, you know. All right, so I'll go to the next slide. All right, some insights about the second door that I was talking about, process. So if you don't get an interview or you're not getting an interview, there is a room for improvement in the personal letter and how you sell yourself. And remember that the first 3 sentences in the application, in the personal letter or cover letter, is the most important ones, because those are the ones that attract the recruiters' attention. So utilize it well, highlight what they're asking for, be creative, don't hesitate to boost your profile in these 10 sentences. So if you're if you're in between jobs and unsure how the job market situation might look like, or are you going to be laid off, be early in that process, you know. Start applying for the jobs the moment that you have this uncertainty, the moment that you have some knowledge about something is going to change of your job situation. Because in Sweden, there is a saying, it's easier to get a job when you have a job. I don't know if you have heard it before, but I have heard it many times. It's easier to get a job, and the employers will hire someone that has a job, you know, and they're very open to that. So think about this if you're in that situation. And you know, you will need the references, so it's good to think about this and use these 3 arguments: experience, education, qualities. Yeah, so the person cover letter needs a lot of work from you. And be familiar with the information available on the website of Arbetsförmedlingen. It is financed by taxes, so make good use of it, because there's a lot of very, very helpful information on Arbetsförmedlingen's website. So I will in the doors open the indoors process section, I will show you some useful resources. For example, this one. Let's see. So this one, I'll translate it. This is a website for CV Kungen. I believe there are much more like this. So you can. This is a very good one. I have used this one a lot. Yeah, you can create your CV here. It's called cvkungen.sc. So I wanted to share that with you. And the second one I want to share. Let me see if this opens. Yeah. So, and then there is something co-write. Core is a power flight writing platform. You can write job applications here in just a few minutes, and you know, get some help here, you know, in the best. Because I use these because very late in my job search, but this is very recent also because these are Swedish people that have done like kind of form these platforms, and they understand the job market in Sweden, so that's why they have that's why I'm sharing them with you. And then there is some actually this is a LinkedIn post, research paper. We can check that out. I will share the presentation with Jagdish, so we can share with you. So there is like how the, how it is looking for different roles, and this would be good to read and get some inside knowledge about what's going on. All right. Okay, that was the second door. So I will go to the third door now, which is think about keep growing. So while in the process of job search, think about growing, because you might feel sometimes like nothing is happening, and it can be a lot of factors, because it doesn't really mean that that your profile is not good enough or something. It can be the global challenges, for example, war, inflation, whatever. It can be anything. So don't have that. So just focus on just think about growing, no matter where you find yourself. For example, so you use that time to become an even stronger candidate. Run parallel process, actively look for jobs while staying updated in your field and upgrading your skills. This way, when an opportunity comes, you're ready for it, and you're also future proofing your career for the opportunities after that. So think about this. Now I'm giving you the chart. It says, take AI. You see, it's going to increase green energy, healthcare, HR, analytics. So these points that I have mentioned here, like think about them. So keep yourself updated. Certifications so that you can acquire Swedish. Don't Swedish is something that you never compromise. This is something that you have all the time with you. That's something you consistently focus upon. So so follow the developments and keep yourself updated. This is what I mean is by growing, because this is what I have done there. Because when I was in the job search, I was everywhere, literally. I was volunteering for an organization, and I was in there was a period of time when I was the president of United Nations in Malmo. Then I worked with Save the Children. Then I worked with other volunteer organizations. Then I participated in many fairs, job fairs, and collecting information, understanding what is the required, what's going on, talking with employers. And when you are there at that spot where the job fairs, you can actually carry a CV or a personal letter and talk to them directly. Take the number, take their email, or be open. Don't be hesitant. Just go out there and go for it. So the other one, the second slide on the keep growing, run parallel process. As I was telling you, actively looking for jobs while staying updated in your field. Keep up with the advancements in your technical field as technology evolves rapidly. Attend language classes consistently. Stay informed about the Swedish job market and trends within your industry. So keep an eye for that. I mean, there is a lot of newsletters that are actually talking about these things. So these are some newsletters. For example, if you're a part of the union, you can apply, you can sign up for newsletters that they will give you some, because as I said, they are doing research, gathering information in your fields, so you can get them directed towards you. Or you can, I'm quite sure there are other platforms where you can actually access this information. Get some newsletters and keep yourself updated on what's going on. So I'll go to let's see how it is going to change the tech in 2025. Let's see. So this is another article, how skills Sweden employers seek in 2025. As I said, I will share this with Jagdish later. So the forecast, how it looks, you can have a read here. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, so on, proficiency in programming languages. I'm just gonna quickly scroll through so you guys can just have a look. It's something that you can read later. This is something gonna be, cybersecurity is gonna be very high in demand in the coming years. Because of the landscape changes, because of the war, Sweden entry into NATO, and it puts a lot of challenges on the digitalization side. cloud computing. So you guys understand this more better than me, I would say. So yeah. So to summarize, as I said, so developing in-depth knowledge or certifications in key area of your profession can keep more doors open for you. At the same time, continue with your Swedish language. It is easy to slack off when you're busy job hunting, for example, but consistency is key. Attend those language lessons every week, because stronger language skills will ensure that once you get your foot in the door, you can confidently stay there. And staying informed about industry trends and which sectors are growing is important. The Swedish job market is not static. Some industries are expanding fast and always need talent. For instance, recent data shows, growth in sectors like technology, engineering, building, construction, and even human resources. So if you have skills or interest in these areas, there may be more opportunities now. Likewise, the green industries, renewable energy, electrical vehicles, battery technology, are booming thanks to Swedish. I mean, Sweden is pushing for sustainability because it has always been the forefront of sustainability and green energy. So keep in mind these areas. So aligning your strategy, with these trends can pay off. Maybe you will take an online course in green energy tech, or attend a webinar on the latest HR analytical tools, or anything that keeps you, keeps you current. By doing all of this, updating your tech know-how, broadening your skill set, improving your Swedish, and tracking the market, you make yourself, a moving target, I would say, in the best sense. You not only increase your chances of opening the door to a job, but you'll also be in a great position, to keep that door open and progress in your career, once you're in. Remember, landing the job is not the finish line. It's a start. It's the start of the next race. So have a strategy for your own development that runs, in parallel with your job search. So you'll find opportunities, coming to you down the line. So yeah, this in this way, I would summarize the door that I had, lessons learned number 3. So the last, let me see here. So now we come to the lesson number 4, a short one, which is use support systems. Here I was going to talk about because you have to remember one thing, that in Sweden, you pay a lot of taxes actually, and you have to understand where those taxes go, because it is a welfare state. As you know, you get paid when you have kids. You get paid for everything. Schools are free, and hospitals are free, and the reason for that is we are paying taxes for that. And one of those things that are like heavily sponsored, it's the unemployment office. So so you have to utilize them properly. So it has a very strong support system, so make sure to leverage those resources to find the right opportunity. First and foremost, register with the Swedish Public Employment Service, Arbetsförmedlingen, if you haven't already. It's not just a formality. Arbetsförmedlingen offers a lot of valuable support. They provide information, free guidance, and can connect you to programs or courses that boost your employability. For example, they fund short training courses, so-called arbetsmarknadsutbildningar. I believe some are familiar with them. I will show you what those are. I click on the link here. So this is the website of the Arbetsförmedlingen. So I will do like this, and I will take data and IT. And then I will say, let's see. I'll show you something. I took the first one that was there. Okay. I'll find something here. So what they're writing here, I'm translating now. All right. But anyway, some reason it's not working. But it says here, for example, let's see if I can. So anyway, it says here, for example, before you start this, for example, this course, duration is 2 weeks, IT extension test and mapping, right? You have to go this test and something called what do you call it? Some module to a module, for example, to do some test within IT and English for to be able to see that if you are suitable for this course, you know, for a knowledge base. So this is something they're asking for English here. So in this way, for example, and you also actually receive financial support, to be honest. So you can have a look here. So if you go here, profession, it's called this one, Arbetsmarknadsutbildning, and find a lot of courses, and you can read here. Yeah, here you can see it's been translated here. Before you can possibly start the IT extension program, you need to take this test and mapping module to perform tests in IT and English to find out if this program is suitable based on. So this is something that is an advice in Swedish, but actually they're asking for English. Anyway. So I just want to show you quickly what I want. So these are called short training courses called Arbetsmarknadsutbildningar. In the fields that need workers, and many of these courses are open to people with various backgrounds. So often even in English, as I showed you earlier. These courses, this could be anything from a programming bootcamp to a certifications course in construction safety. You know, some programs are specifically designed for newcomers and graduates, like an academic fast track program that helps what you call it foreign academics get local experience, which can directly lead to internships or job placements. By enrolling in such programs, I've seen people gain, you know, a missing skill or local experience and land a job soon after, actually, to be honest. So even if you have a technical background, don't hesitate to take a short course or two, you know. It shows initiative, fills any gaps, skill gaps. Our civilian can hook up with you with job coaching or mentorship support and notify you of recruitment fairs or events in 20, you know. And you know, in 2025, much of their services are accessible online, webinars, e-guidance. They actually also have a newsletter, and I would suggest that you actually sign up for that. So that was about Arbetsmarknadsutbildningar, the labor market training courses I was talking about until now. So let's go to the union. So as I mentioned earlier, join a union relevant to your field. So this is a very normal thing in Sweden. Around 70% of workers here are union members, and it comes with the benefits beyond the obvious worker rights. Unions often have a career development resources, networking events, and even their own job boards. You know, they can offer legal advice on employment contracts and salary levels, and many unions for professionals include a income insurance on top of a kassa that can cover most of your salary, you know, if you become unemployed, for example. So I suggest that you have a look which union you have, which union you should choose, you know. Then I will come to a-kassa. I don't know how many people of you know this one. Sweden had let me see. So unemployment is called unemployment insurance fund. This is crucial. A-Kassa is the system that gives you a financial safety net if you find yourself between jobs, for example. It typically covers up to about 80% of your previous salary for a period, up to a certain cap, which means you can pay your rent and bills while you search for the next gig. Imagine not having to panic about money if your contract ends. That peace of mind is worth the monthly fee. I always say that having a casa is part of a smart job strategy, because it lets you a bit be a bit choosier and not jump on the first offer of that is available. Plus, being in the system ensures you stay connected with Arbetsförmedlingen and other support. So use the supports available. Arbetsförmedlingen, Union, A-Kassa are there.
What is a casa?
What do you say?
Yeah. Kevin, you can type the question in the chat. We'll answer at the end. It's a good question, though.
Yeah. Should I continue, Jagdish?
You can continue.
Yeah. So Arbetsförmedlingen, unions, and A-Kassa are there to help you open the right door. These organizations in Sweden work together in many ways. For instance, unions, Arbetsförmedlingen and Arbetsförmedlingen sometimes coordinate on labor market programs. And Arbetsförmedlingen can guide you on which A-Kassa to join. Take advantage of any free courses. Some are even offered in English or with English support, CV workshops, or networking opportunities they provide. Actually, not long ago, I met someone who landed a job through a work placement program that started as a short course funded by Arbetsförmedlingen. So 1 month of training, and it led to a 3-month internship that turned into a full-time job. So these things happen more often than you think, but you have to be in the system to hear about them. So if you haven't already signed up or get involved, it's a smart way to find that door, find the door that fits you. So yeah. So now we're coming to the last door, to be honest. Track external trends. So finally, as I said, stay informed about AI. AI is transforming job roles fast. So adapt to economic and tech changes. Staying informed keeps you competitive. So your job market is not only sometimes this is one of those factors that you can actually not affect so much. This is something that is out of your control, to be honest. So, in order to overcome that, I will give you a short explanation. Staying informed about external factor. That can either close doors or open new ones in the job market. The job landscape doesn't exist in a vacuum. It constantly influenced by broader economic and global events. By 2025, we all seen how true this is. Consider factors like inflation, geopolitical events, technology shifts, and government policies. These can all impact which jobs are available and what skills are in demand. For example, Sweden experienced a surge in inflation to its highest level in decades around 2022, largely due to spiking energy costs amidst global uncertainty. Higher inflation and the rising interest rates that followed cool down certain industries. When people's buying power drops, you might see fewer jobs in retail or a slowdown in new construction projects, as loans get expensive. On the other hand, those conditions can also open doors in other areas. For instance, as the government and the businesses respond to high energy prices, there was no investment in energy. There was more investment in energy efficient technology and alternative energy, which means more jobs in those niches. So the war in Ukraine that started in 2022 is another example of an external factor with ripple effects on the job market. It contributed to higher fuel and electricity prices, made the economic outlook uncertain, leading some companies to tighten their budgets. The Swedish economy was forecast to grow more slowly, partly because of that war, but at the same time, Sweden's move toward a NATO membership and increased defense spending has started to create opportunities in the defense and cybersecurity sectors. In short, as I mentioned earlier, in short, world events can slam doors shut while propping others open. And be aware of those shifts. Of these shifts helps you navigate your career strategy accordingly. Technology is another external factor moving at lightning speed. AI adoption in workplaces is a prime example. It's no longer a distant future, it's here now, changing the nature of many jobs. Over half of the Swedish professionals are already using AI tools at work by mid-decade, and that number is only growing. This means some roles will evolve or even disappear. For instance, as I was mentioning about before, in the public sector. But it also means new roles are popping up, like, for example, AI specialist, data analyst, etc. So we saw a wave of restructuring in the tech sector globally around, and even big companies like Spotify had to cut staff due to economic conditions. So which was a partly correction after rapid pandemic era growth, and partly due to tech companies refocusing on new priorities like AI. So for job seekers, the lesson here is to keep your ear to the ground, pay attention to the news about your industry. If you hear that companies are automating certain processes, think about how you can, pivot to areas that require more human creativity or oversight of those systems. Practically speaking, making it a habit to follow the business news, read industry reports, or even subscribe to newsletters about the Swedish economy. It will give you great insight, because what happens that when you have access to all this information, you create an analysis of your job situation, because the analysis is something that you're doing is for yourself, not for the others. So you get an idea on how to navigate in those conditions. So if you know a certain sector is predicted to bounce back in 2025, for example, you might focus your applications there. If you know another is facing headwinds, you might broaden your search or upskill before a possible downturn. Also keep an eye on government announcements. Sweden often publishes labor shortage list of occupations in demand. Sweden often does that, and these can guide you toward stable opportunities. Be aware of external factors, and also helps you. Once you're in a job, you can better understand your company's context and maybe even anticipate changes. For example, if you sense your company might be affected by a market slowdown, you can prepare your CV just in case. The bottom line is stay curious and informed. And another insight I will show you, one thing I just remembered what I can show you. So external factors like economic swings, technological breakthroughs, or policy changes can feel beyond your control, and often they are, actually, to be honest. But staying informed, you can react and adapt proactively. It's like having a weather report for the job market, And so you can decide whether to carry an umbrella, wear sunglasses, or in this case, maybe learn a new skill or shift your job search strategy. This will help you navigate challenges more effectively and spot opportunities that others might miss. So that was to summarize the 5 doors and attract external trends. I will just show you something I just remembered. I hope you can still see my screen. Let me see here. I have to change back to Swedish. So if you know anyone that is that has lost a job from Northvolt, they have a special provision here. Later from Northvolt, they will give you special support here. Let's see. Yes, this one. Found it. Professions and future. This is a very good resource. You can go in here. Professions, labor market training. We can find it anywhere. Yes. So for example, you can go here. Swilling has already done a prognosis of what is going to happen in the future for a certain field, and they have gathered a lot of information here on this side, for example, and how it's going to look in the coming years, for example. So these are all the construction workers. They have a. I want to check something here. Let me see. Let me check this one. Automation technician. Test, job opportunities, education. Job opportunities for this. Let's see here. It says, at present, there are considered to be great opportunities for work. Over the next 5 years, demand is expected to be unchanged, remain unchanged. Engineers and technicians in mechanical engineering. At present, they are considered to be great opportunities. So they are doing this kind of things, Swilling. So, go into Swilling's website and have a look, I would say. Yeah. No. Second. Excuse me, I just have to get back. So, all right. So some insights. I have gathered some insights that you can perhaps read. This is an article about economic consequences of war in Ukraine. Spotify to cut 6% of its workforce. I think this one is a bit old, but it's from 2023. But you can still read it. You can have a look at this one, for example, European economic forecast. How this was made in 2025. So you see the GDP is going to grow in the coming years. Inflation was a bit high in 2024. It's a bit less now, perhaps a bit more. Unemployment is going to go down, GDP. So yeah, so it shows good numbers. So it's like an overall view because this was something I actually had a look at when I was unemployed, because this gave me a very good overview about, okay, I have to be patient. It's going to change. I have to be in the process. I have to be focus on it still. So I did that, and then eventually, job market opened up and I was able to get a job. So that was the last slide I had, and then I will go to this one to conclude. Remember the 5 doors I mentioned to you, and that was, I can go through them again. Let me see.
अरे वही ऐसे ही सुन रही थी.
That is, language is key to opening doors. Understand the process to open doors. Have a strategy to keep doors open. Leverage support systems to find the right door. Stay informed about external factors that can close or open doors. Okay, so that was the 5 doors that I wanted to mention to you. So remember the 5 doors. Be well informed about all the information available to our mailing. And when it comes to language, doesn't matter how long you have lived here. Start back getting acquainted with the language now, because it takes time. So the sooner you have this daily dose of Swedish, you are well on the way. So it doesn't matter. And that was it. And you know, and I just wanted to tell you something that a bit personal also, because I know that you know, being in a job, I don't know what situation you find yourself in, but you know, it can be an immense stressful period for many of you. But take care of yourself, go for walks, keep that creativity going on, and you know, it doesn't matter, just do and focus and take care of yourself, and you will be well on the way to finding a job. Yeah. The last one is thank you for listening. And if you have I run a Facebook group, so if you're interested, you can join it there. So I, from time to time, I give some suggestions and give some guidance there. If you have raised questions, I will be happy to help you. And if you want to get connected with me, you can scan this QR code and you will get my contact details. So that's it for me. Jagdish, over to you.
Thank you, Vivek. I am also sharing Vivek's LinkedIn link in the chat. You can connect with Vivek. I recommend you to join the Forum for Job Seekers Facebook group because Vivek shares some mostly the government related updates. So you might have seen a lot of career coaches, but the links, references, insights Vivek shares mostly connected to the original sources from government. So they are super helpful. And you won't find them easily elsewhere. We have 14 more minutes. If you have any questions, you can raise hand, unmute and ask, or you can also type in the chat. I will try to go through some questions in the chat. And thanks, Vivek, for mentioning at the end about taking care of yourself. I have been mentioning the same in all my webinars recently. Getting a job in Sweden is a very long journey. You have to have a proper strategy and plan. You can't go wild in the market. It won't work. You will only end up doing multiple courses, multiple government-backed programs like Rustov Macha, this one, that one, and all these programs and some vocational training, but never actually end up in getting the job. So have a proper strategy, proper plan, and have a long-term strategy. And even with the language, also have a proper strategy and everything. Then try to go maybe slow, fast, or based on your pace. And in this process, make sure you take care of your health and well-being, very importantly. You have to make conscious efforts. You can't just think of it and do nothing. Let's go to the chat. If anyone has any question that is not answered in the chat, please repost so that I can read it out and maybe Vivek can answer or I can answer. Okay, how long, we are going from the latest questions. How long do you reckon it take? I heard stories from my friends having to leave the country after trying for 1 full year without any luck. What is the context? Is this the context of job seeker visa, T2? Whoever is T2? Do you elaborate? Okay, yeah, in terms of finding job, there are no real statistics, but people say it takes on an average a year for international talent to find a job. And I can also say from my personal experience of training and mentoring people for almost 5 years, the best cases were some people got jobs in 3 to 4 months, but there are also the worst cases. Some people find it in 2 to 3 years, to more than 2 years. But the average case is around 1 year always. So it takes a year for sure. Hope I answered your question. Okay, so Shanti mentioned thank you, Jagdish and Vivek, for a meaningful session. Thank you, Shanti.
Is it okay to talk?
Yeah, hello, hi, yes.
Hey, yeah. So about the question about the time it takes. So I actually had a conversation with like a Swedish recruitment company, and then they said that okay, you just apply. We will give you access to our database, and you apply 30 to 40 jobs a week, and within within 3 to 4 months, you'll be able to find something.
Please share the database with us.
So I'm a bit like suspicious about this company.
Should I answer that, Jagdish, or do you
Yes,
want to
please.
answer?
Yes, please. Yes, Vivek.
Listen, you know, I will take an example because I don't know if you're enrolled in Arbetsförmedlingen or something, but with all due respect for Arbetsförmedlingen, when you approach them, like when you're registered as Arbetsförmedlingen, they give you a strategy. They say you should study this, you should do this, and you will get a job and so on. I mean, they will put you in perhaps a longer process, you know. But I recommend strongly have your own strategy and a plan, because you know people might suggest you to do this and do that. It's good that if it comes from good resources, yes, but have a plan for yourself that's what suits you. And the other thing that you said about 30 to 40 jobs a week, did you say? Did you say it's a week?
Yeah.
A week? A
Yeah,
week?
a week.
I mean that is impossible. And
Exactly. I also asked them like, how is it possible that you have 30 to 40 jobs available a week, opening positions? It just doesn't make sense.
no. And the other thing, and the other consequence of that would be the quality of the application.
Yeah.
If you really have to focus on the quality, and that's why I put it down to a minimum of 2 jobs, because let's say you have 10 jobs open, and then you have to have a strategy when you have 10 jobs. You can just, like, for example, let's say you're overqualified for this one, you're a bit not qualified for this job. So, like, for example, if it's your first job, I would place myself a bit lower. I will see that I'm a bit overqualified, you know. I can always change the jobs. For example, I will go for those jobs where I think that I have a better chance to apply, you know. Sorry, a better chance to get them, you know. But I would also focus on the quality. I mean, without the quality, I mean, really like focusing on the quality of the text and, you know, everything. That's very important, because it doesn't matter if you apply 10 jobs or 20 jobs or 30 jobs, if the quality is not there, which I find a bit impossible, applying for 30 to 40 jobs a week. I wouldn't suggest that, to be honest.
Mm.
Hello.
And did you write your CV and cover letter in Swedish?
Yes, I've been doing that for a long time. Yes, I do.
How long did it take you to get there? From learning from, let's say, from SFV to like being able to write these?
Actually, you know, I mean, you know, writing in, I mean, you know, as I said, this is something that you don't have to, this is not a test, you have to understand, you know, to be able to write a CV is not a test. So for example, if you have tools like, for example, you can use online, you know, to make it how it looks as we receive, you do that, you know, you're not gonna be tested on that terms. Like how have you written the CV, for example? They're not gonna ask you that. What they're gonna ask you is like, when you write an application, let's say you are learning Swedish, for example, and you're applying for a job, a technical background job, or a job where you say, listen, I'm writing this application. You can mention to them, I'm in the process of learning, you know, learning the language, for example. You be honest about it, but take the help of resources that are available, you know, to write in Swedish. You know, you don't have to learn I mean, get acquainted with the language and then write a CV. No, I wouldn't say so.
Okay, and I really resonate a lot about your point on going to classes. Actually, that doesn't really help. I could do very well in class, but outside, even going to supermarket, I would feel like, it's a bit awkward to talk to people in Swedish. Yeah, so it's just about practicing.
Yes, it's about practicing, actually. And I say it again, I still make mistakes, you know, a lot. I don't have all the vocabulary, and but I passed that point where I think about mistakes. I passed that point when I think about what people will think, you know, about my language skills. So you have to get there.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I'll pass it back to
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, so there are some questions about how to write best CV, how to write Swedish styles CV or European CV, or what to put in the CV or what not to put in the CV. And also there are some questions about ATS especially. I want to make it very clear. So I'm sharing my LinkedIn in the chat. Connect to my LinkedIn. It's okay even if you are not connected. Go to my LinkedIn and go to the post section and scroll through the posts, and you will find answers to every single question. When I say answer, it is not just my personal opinion. It's based on a lot of experience working with talent, helping more than 50 people getting jobs in Sweden, also seeing who is not getting jobs, etc. I've posted a lot, and we also conducted a dedicated events on resumes and cover letters, so you can see it and scroll through the past events and see if any event that you might have missed. For example, you can see busting ATS myths and crafting resumes that land interviews. So just to give you some curiosity, there is no such thing called ATS at all that rejects your resume. That's what we discussed for 1 hour in this session. So these questions are not, they don't have short answers. And they also don't have a right or wrong answer. So we have to understand not one way works for all. So we have to dig a little bit deeper and understand how things work and then see what is applicable to us. So I recommend, I will also share the link of this meetup if you're not already there. Join it, and very soon we are going to conduct again this event, Busting ATS Myths, and also one dedicated writing CV and cover letter event. We have 4 more minutes. I will read out other questions. So I'm going to skip CV and ATS questions because we'll conduct a dedicated event for that. Where to look for volunteer work? Noel, can you answer that?
Yes. Actually, Sweden is a very volunteer-based country. There's a lot of volunteer organizations, and they exist because they get a lot of funding from the state to taxes. So it actually depends on your area of interest. So if you're interested in a certain topic, it's very easy to find. Let's say, when I was studying political science and human rights and so on, so I thought, oh, maybe I should go and look for a United Nations Association in Malmö. And that's where I was studying. So I looked for them, and then I wrote them an email that people are always looking for volunteers. That thing is for sure. So you will not be finding any difficulty in finding one. So depending on the background, depending on what you're interested in, we can just search them out, contact them, and just, yeah, I would like to be part of it. That's it. It's very easy, actually. Actually, there was another question I was very interested about. Would it confuse the interviewer with the false expectations that you can't take the interview fully in Swedish? So the thing is, when you prepare for an interview, there are some common questions, and you have to prepare for them, And the other thing is that, as I mentioned before, it's very important to tell them that I'm in this process of learning getting acquainted with the language, for example. That's very important to mention to them. So, as the recruiters are very open, to hire you only if they find out that you're in the process of getting acquainted with the language, that you want to be, because it gives them another feeling about you as a candidate. That's what you have to focus about. So if you, for example, there's some questions that you like for example, write them down, prepare for them, and that's exactly what you're going to say to them. So it's not like false expectations. For example, I work in a field that is very language heavy, I would say, because it's public sector, and it's very difficult in that sense. So for me, it was I had to be like really bang my head to the wall, I would say, in other words. But there are professions like, for example, I was mentioning the tech field. They are willing to make compromise because technical expertise is very difficult to find. They have a very big need. And when you reach the, like even with basic Swedish, you can get to you can actually attain a job, I would say.
Hey, I got a question.
Yes, Vaibhav.
Yeah, so can we apply for a CASA or trade union being on a job seeker visa?
Actually, not. Union, you can be part of union. But for a-kassa, you should have been working in Sweden, and you can become a member of a-kassa when you are actually working. That's when you can become a member, to be honest. So not the a-kassa. Union, yes, you can become a member of without no problem.
Got it. Thank you.
So there was another question with few years of career break. How about chances of getting a job in Sweden for person with few years? Okay, so I know that this is a very big factor that you take into account when it comes to hiring in other countries. But as such, Sweden is very open in that terms, because even if you have some career breaks, they don't usually ask you that. I've never, I think I've been through almost 70 plus interviews. I have never got that question. Why do you have a break in your career, for example? So I don't know if Jagdish shares the same experience, but
I agree totally, 100%. So I say the exact same thing. Fortunately, I love that fact about Sweden. No one cares about your career break. That's also because people go on 2 to 3 months vacations, one and a half year longer parent lives here. So it's not that uncommon to have breaks. But I also suggest this: if you know you have a career break, and if you think that there will be a question, if you already know what question is coming, you can be prepared. You have your story prepared. That's it. Simple. But as Vivek said, and from my personal experience, most of our trainees, they never got this question. Why do you have a career break? Yeah.
Are there any specific websites we need to stay active? I would say definitely. I would say definitely Arbetsförmedlingen. And there is a very unemployment office, because there is a very good reason for that. That's because if you have to apply for work permit and so on, the announcement that Arbetsförmedlingen makes is going to be useful for you. So that has to be your top platform for job searching. And the other thing is, all kinds of jobs, you can find them there, you know. So it's like, it's not limited in any way. So Arbetsförmedlingen is a very good, I know many of the expect background people don't use that. They go for LinkedIn and so on, but I would really say Arbetsförmedlingen is a very good website.
Okay, Vivek, I have an interesting question.
Yes.
Niral Kumar asked this question. The first part was about CVs. So the second part was, as a student, we have limited time after studies. So I don't think we can work too much parallelly on language. Is Migration Ministry is taking these things seriously?
Migration Minister is taking this thing seriously. Actually, the issue is not new, unfortunately. It's because I have gone through the same stress of having very limited time to be able to get a job at hand, and this is something that has not been changed for more than 2 decades. The people getting such limited time. The immigration minister, I mean, when it comes to politicians, I would say, it's actually on my list of things that I'm going to write to the politicians on these aspects of challenges, but I am very well aware of the problem. I'm very well aware of it because I myself experienced it. So it's a bit of they're not they don't know what the problem is. I mean they don't see it from our point of view actually, and that is the problem. So
Yeah. So we are over the time, but I don't mind staying few more minutes because there are some really important questions, or the question is important for the person asked. I want to answer every single person's question. But those who don't have any questions, so you can leave quietly, no problem. But Vivek, just let me know when you're done. We will end the session, but we will extend few more minutes because there are very few questions. One question is about again language. I know you mentioned about Swedish. I am in the process of learning Swedish, but how do we communicate that clearly to the employer as some job asks directly for fluent Swedish? And you also mentioned that it will take time to learn fluent Swedish.
yes, I mean let's just don't think about fluency in Swedish. I mean I would say let's don't have that kind of that ambition, I would say. For example, because I have met a lot of colleagues during my time in different government agencies that had, I would say, the 50% of the language proficiency needed, and that was also the case for me for many years. So what I would say that you should apply, first of all, it's very important that you apply, and you know, I would say if you think that the thing that I would say that is required from you is that you have to manage 50% of the language, because as I said earlier, once you get the job, that's when you actually improve. But if you are and then leave the rest to the recruiter, I would say. So do your best in the applications, do your best in the what do you call it, in the CV and in the cover letter to express yourself correctly, and then and in the interview as well, and let them be the judge of that. Don't be the don't I would say don't speculate on that, I would say.
Okay, and also Roxana mentioned that she has a page, she has an app, she is also teaching. We also conducted some Spoke Cafe uh, with Vesna previously, the language sessions. I mean, that's why this community is important. Some people teach, some people learn and join the sessions. If you know someone conducting something related to Swedish, you can let everyone know. So I would recommend whoever is asking questions about Swedish, join Roxana's group, Discord group, and start speaking. Okay. Did we miss any questions? You can repost in the chat. Aju asked one question about what will happen if you lose visa and have to leave country and you are part of union and a casa.
I mean, they basically a casa is something that is based on you have to pay every month, right? And if you leave, I mean, there's as such no consequence, because if they miss payments, they will most probably remove you from our casa, and the union is the same. I mean, it's free for job seekers and students, and they would basically remove you as a member. So nothing will as such will happen. But if you have prospects of coming back to Sweden, or then I would say that paying a casa is a good thing, because so that you don't have the gap. Otherwise they will just cancel the membership.
Okay. Shubhada asked a question about how does the union support members who are currently seeking employment. Shubhada, I'm pasting a link in the chat that I posted a link, a very detailed link about how union and Akasa helps you. They don't help you while you are a job seeker. They will help you when you lose your job. So it is only after something bad happened, not when everything is good. So you can read that link where it's very detailed. Okay. Mm, 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 mm. We have discussed about how to find a job in Sweden. I would like to know where to find the job because I have been applying for my field and my role incessantly on LinkedIn from few months, but all I get back is unfortunately email. Okay, so it's only been few months. You have a long way to go. You want to share something, Vivek?
Yes, I would say, I mean, I would stress on the fact, the thing that I mentioned earlier. I mean, it's good to have an overview about how the job market is looking, and it's not wrong to ask for feedback from the employer. As I said, to follow up. After 2 weeks after the last date of application, when there's the last date, after you wait 2 weeks and you call the employer and say, I have applied for this job. I'm really interested. I want to know where you are at the recruitment process. And then they will tell you what the reasons are. It's not wrong. So because this is very valuable, because you can use it for your next job, so on. So think about that and be yourself in the process. I can imagine that it's not an easy situation, but be in the process and do the things that I've suggested, and it will help you get further.
Yeah, so the thing is, I have asked for a feedback. So I think one of the company, Hollands, they replied that they need Sweden because Swedish, because since Swedish is the corporate language. And apart from that, all I get back is that since there are a lot of candidates who have applied for the job, so it's not possible for us to give an individual feedback.
Okay.
And for me, I did not even get a chance to talk to the HR or interview. Why? Because so I was sent a psychometric test, and I know I did very well in that test. I scored 98 percentile, and even after that I got an unfortunate email. I mean, I didn't get a chance to present myself, so that was very disheartening. So that ways I was very confused that where am I lacking.
You know, I have to say, don't beat yourself down on that one, because that happens. It happened for many, myself as well.
Yeah.
I think I applied at least 400 to 500 jobs during my time. So don't beat yourself down on that, because this test, you can use it for other jobs, because you know that it is valid for at least 1 or 2 years, so you can still use that.
Yeah.
And keep trying. And what was the job, if I may ask?
So I work as a fashion buyer and merchandiser.
Okay.
And I find more my relevant jobs more on LinkedIn as compared to Abisumelding, because I mean, some now while applying here, I realize that the names of the positions have changed. Let's say if I say I am a merchandise planner, so they would even call it as a purchase controller. Or these words have changed here, which I have adapted to. Right now I search with those keywords as well. But I find more of my jobs on LinkedIn as compared to Abisumelding.
I understand.
And LinkedIn, how it is also why I preferred it, because I could check who is let's say I would go to a particular brand, and then I can see that a buyer or head of the department of that particular brand, and then I can reach out to them. Although I have reached out to hundreds of people, and hardly like 5 people would have replied back to me.
And did you get any were you able to analyze why that is the case?
No, because I have even messaged people saying that is it possible for you to give me a feedback on my resume, a general feedback. So that also I did not get a reply. So all I was seeking for is some feedback, like even 1 or 2 points someone would highlight, and I can improve on that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there could be a cultural challenge there also.
Yeah.
And it could be also because you are applying for roles which are actually also applied by Swedish people, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a very challenge. So what I suggest is see broaden your search, see if you can adapt to other roles that are similar. So that, you know, it's just like to increase your opportunities. See if you can do that, because the thing is, it might be your dream job. It might be the job that you want. By switching and, you know, focusing on something else, like for example, you get a job that is a bit similar, or a bit outside, or what. If you get that job, you can still keep applying for these kind of jobs.
Yeah, I agree.
Remember what I told before, it's easier to find a job when you have a job. So
Yeah.
so this is, you know, this is like a strategy, you know. For example, every time you fail, I mean, anyone fails, you need to come up with a strategy. That should be the major thought. So like, okay, let's say, okay, this doesn't work, so try this, you know. Be creative in that sense, and you know, eventually you will get the job that you want, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I'm also sharing one link to the posts I made on this, which more or less what Vivek mentioned. Like, imagine you are applying for a job and with similar experience or little bit more or less experience, another person who applied, who is a Swedish native, applied for the same job. So then it's not that easy. And also, not getting feedback is the most common thing everyone faces. It's because again, as Vivek said, the cultural thing of avoiding conflict. No one wants to have conflict here. So maybe if you apply to a job at SITA.dev, I can't say that your resume is not good, that's why I didn't select you. Because the same resume can get you a job elsewhere. So then I am in a conflict. So no one gives such feedback. So that's why you hardly get feedback. But that comes from the cultural stuff of avoiding conflict. So you have to find your way. Like, let's say if you're not do a A/B testing, if your ways are not working, all you're getting is rejection mails, then you're doing something wrong. I won't say wrong, but you're doing something that is not working here. So you have to find a different way. Maybe talk to people, attend these kind of sessions, and try that, and try something else. So you will find your way. Okay, we'll take one last question posted by Asmi Shena. If someone is doing part-time job here, should he mention it when registering orbits for Medlingen? That is one question. And also, second question, also assume if something is going to applying for work permit, but still not, can he still apply orbits for Medlingen?
Yeah. What was it in the chat, or did you get it directly?
It is in the chat. You can read it.
It's Yasmin. Yasmin.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Someone doing part-time job, should he mention it when registered hours? Yes, I mean, you know, in our spelling, the principle is if you don't have a full-time job, you're considered as unemployed. So if you can apply that you're a job seeker because you're looking for a full-time job, I'm assuming. So then you can actually apply for Arbetsförmedlingen. It's no problem. And also assume if someone is going to apply for work permit but still not, what? Can you still apply for it? Yes, you can be part of Arbetsförmedlingen. Definitely, no problem at all. And then I will answer another question here, that I don't have FRIA or bank ID as I don't have a coordination number. How do I? So you can actually create an account by email and password also in Arbetsförmedlingen. So you can do that. So yeah, answering those questions. Jagdish, is it possible to get a screenshot if people want?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it would be nice to take a screenshot. If everyone can quickly turn on video, we can have a screenshot. Yeah, just you take your time, 1 minute. We should have done it when a lot of people were here, but that's fine. Okay, are we ready? Okay, yeah, Vivek, you can take now. I think this is it.
Should I take it? Can you take it for me?
Oh, okay, sure. I can take, yeah. Okay, so on count of 1, 2, 3, you can give a thumbs up or a smile or something like that. Okay. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Yes. Thank you so much.
So actually, I just want to say one thing. Best of luck. Good luck with everyone. Don't hesitate to contact us if you need anything. Don't worry. Just take care of yourself and focus on the 5 doors I've mentioned to you. You will be on your way, because the need for people that can work in Sweden is enormous. So because I'm basing that on facts and numbers and statistics. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Vivek. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for extending almost 20 minutes and patiently answering all the questions. Thanks everyone for staying till the end. Have a lovely Friday evening and happy weekend. Bye-bye.
Same to you. Bye bye.